حمدا لمن هداني لسنة العدنان محمد المختار وسيد الأطهار.
And you said we did not sin in the loins of Adam, right?
Adam never existed.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Adam never existed?
No, he didn't.
There was no such person named Adam?
No, there was not. Paul knew that.
Who's the first man?
God doesn't answer that question.
So the whole Adam, Eve, Genesis, garden, that never happened?
The first 11 chapters of Genesis are the same genre of literature: epic tales, sagas, myths, and legends.
Ah. How you doing? Have you read this?
Yes, I have.
Nice. You have read the Quran itself?
Yes.
All right. So take it. How do you? What do you know about Islam? Now you've read a lot, I see.
No, I haven't read a lot, but
science going on.
I know a little bit.
Right. So we believe in one Creator, right? The one that sent Moses and Abraham and Jesus and Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them.
No.
You didn't know that?
He said, do I believe that?
No, we believe that, I was saying.
You believe it?
Yeah. So do you believe in a Creator?
Yes.
Excellent, okay. Do you believe that Creator is one?
Yes.
You weren't too sure on that one.
Well, in the Hebrew, it's plural. The issue is a little bit complicated.
Sure.
But generally speaking, most people would say yes, that Elohim was
Plural in the sense of a majestic plural or more than one?
he was a single individual.
A single Creator, right? Like, hear, O Israel, your Lord is one, right?
Yeah.
So one, okay. Do you believe that Creator sent us prophets and guidance and messengers?
I believe he did.
Excellent. Okay, good. So we're
When we say us, I mean
humans,
he sent them to the Hebrew people.
not to other people.
No.
So other people were just gonna go to hell, or?
Well, that's up to God to decide. But
So you believe that God?
Except Hebrew people, even Jesus,
Okay.
follow that tradition. Although he did make a break from it and talk to a Syrophoenician woman.
So before the time of Jesus, if you were not Hebrew, God did not send you guidance or prophets?
Well, the Apostle Paul says he did. He says the heavens themselves declare the glory of God, but people choose to rebel against the God that the heavens declare. So yes, he said the stars, established the stars.
But not prophets.
No, they were not necessary.
Gotcha. So people would believe in God just by looking at the stars?
A lot of people did. As a matter of fact, most people do.
But the Jews, the Hebrew people, they got actual prophets, like people to guide them and give them the laws.
In specifics.
Right? But other people wouldn't get laws and things? Like, let's say you were in Africa, you were not around the Hebrew people, would you not have the laws of God then?
They had their own beliefs. Where their beliefs came from, we have no way of knowing.
Gotcha, but not from God.
We don't know.
So did God send prophets to other people or no?
These people are not reading and write, so we have no.
Well, some of them could read and write, right? Like there are other languages that were developed before. I mean, in Africa, in China, there were different languages, right? They could read and write.
Yes, they could.
Okay, yeah. So in Islam, we believe that Allah sent a prophet to every nation.
Yes, I know you believe that.
Okay, but you don't believe that.
No, I don't.
Okay, so the prophets were only sent to the people of Israel.
Yeah.
Is that your belief?
Well, not the people of Israel. There was no Israel in the early days.
The Israelites, Hebrew people,
Ancient Semites.
ancient Semites.
Yes.
But Arabs would also be Semitic people, right?
Yes, they were.
So Arabs got prophets?
Not directly.
They didn't.
Not directly. As far as we know, I mean,
All right.
we're talking about a time in history.
I'm just talking about your
In the
belief.
Middle East, it was very little literature.
All right.
So
And then-
we really don't know.
Okay. And then, I mean, you're definitely well read. You're a pastor or a preacher or?
I was.
All right, cool. So the Bible is where you base a lot of your beliefs in, I'm assuming?
I got distracted.
The Bible is where you base a lot of your beliefs in, I'm assuming?
Yes.
All right. So the Bible, is it the words of God?
Well, it depends what a person means by that. I believe that the Bible is inspired, but I also believe that the man who wrote it show through. That is, the personalities, their cultural beliefs, to a very substantial extent, show through.
Okay. So that means it's not the words of God, but maybe inspired?
Well, the Bible doesn't answer the question.
Sorry?
The Bible doesn't tell us to answer that question.
No, I'm just asking your belief. Do you believe the Bible is the words of God? Like actual, literal words of God? Okay, they're the words of people.
They are people through whom God chose to reveal himself, in the manner that he chose to do it.
Okay, so that counts in the Bible. Are they 100% perfect from God like the Quran? Or are they the accounts of people that can have contradictions and mistakes and things?
I don't believe there's anything perfect about the Quran. I believe it's poor quality literature.
Excellent.
I believe it was written
Can you show me a single contradiction?
I said poor quality literature.
How is it poor quality literature? I mean, the Quran in Arabic was sent and was challenged to all of the poets to be able to respond to it, and none were able to.
The Old Testament is studied all over the world.
The Quran is studied all over the world.
Wait. That's literature.
Sure.
For the sake of literature. Nothing
Yep.
to do Judaism, nothing to do Christianity,
Gotcha.
nothing to do religion.
Excellent.
It's studied as literature. But the Quran is not.
It is.
No, it isn't.
It is. Let me explain it to you. For example, when you study Arabic grammar, right? Nahu and sarf and Arabic sentence structure, we talk about Arab, all of that, even non-Muslims, Christians, atheists, study the Quran as the ultimate authority in Arabic grammar, literature. If you didn't know that, it's okay. We can learn.
I don't know that. I don't believe it.
All right. What if I send you university syllabuses from Western universities that study the Quran for Arabic literature? Would you then believe it?
Okay. Even if that's true,
All right.
the Bible was studied
Sure.
to learn English grammar.
The Bible is studied to learn English
The Old
grammar?
Testament, yes, it was a lot.
Really? Where?
All over the United States.
I've never heard. So I mean, let's talk about that, right? So if you talk about the Bible, the original writings are in what language?
Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek.
Okay, I mean talking about New Testament, right?
Yes, I want to go back.
The New Testament are mostly in Koine
Greek.
Greek.
I said about literature.
Okay.
When I say studied in literature, I don't mean as grammar. I mean as art.
As art.
Yes.
The Bible was studied as art.
Shakespeare is studied.
Sure, it is.
The quality of literature.
Okay. So let me.
The Old Testament is too.
Yeah.
Parts of the New Testament are. That's not true of the Quran.
That is very true of the Quran. Have you looked into that? I mean, have you looked at the courses taught about what's called balagha? Do you know what balagha is?
No.
All right. So balagha is the eloquence of speech in the Arabic language, like how beautifully something is stated. Non-Muslim Arabs and non-Arabs that study Arabic balagha take the Quran as the ultimate authority. Right?
This is not authority. I'm talking about art.
Art. I'm talking about the beauty of the language. Right? There are entire courses taught, and I would love to, if you give me your email, I'll send you links to Western universities with non-Muslim teachers that talk about the art of the wording, the beauty, the balagha, the tashbih and tamthil from the Quran as it is taught, to look at the beauty of the language. But that's not really the point. The point in the end being, is there anything that contradicts itself in the Quran?
Is there anything so contradictory in the Quran?
Yes, that's the question.
Contradictoriality, but not itself.
I'm sorry? Okay. So if I,
Non-contradictoriality, but doesn't
since you were a preacher and you know the Bible well, let me ask you about some biblical verses, right? For example, if we look at Ahaziah, he was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem.
So,
Same person, Isaiah, was 42 years old when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem.
There are a lot of people who explain away those.
I'd love to hear your explanation.
Well, on the internet, you can find
All of those were basically saying that these are contradictions because of copyist errors.
There are many Bible scholars who say there aren't contradictions, and they explain them away.
So tell me, you're a preacher.
You understand? They explain them away. In other words, they use their imagination.
Their imagination. Okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
So they kind of make up an explanation that doesn't
Yes.
exist. Okay, I agree with you. We're on the same page.
Yes.
But you're not one of those, right?
Absolutely not.
Good.
I
So
believe in
you
honesty
believe
of
there,
the Bible.
in the honesty is that there's a clear numeric contradiction there,
Yes.
right?
Well,
Good.
it appears to be.
All right, let's do some more.
That may not be, that specific example may not be the contradiction. I don't know the context, but I know,
Sure.
I admit that there's many places like that in the Bible.
Excellent. So you do admit that there are clear numeric contradictions, which probably would be either copyist errors or people's opinions. We're not going to make up some weird explanation because you're an honest man.
There are
I like
also
that.
name contradictions.
There are names. Good job. You are. Great job there, guy. I appreciate that you're a pastor or preacher, but you're honest enough to admit that. Now, if you look at the death of Judas, for example, right? You do see a contradictory account, right?
I believe there's a contradiction there.
Excellent, and I really appreciate that you believe that. Now, if we look at Jesus praying to God in the Bible, right? So would you say then that this indicates that the God above was stronger and greater than Jesus, right?
No.
You don't think so, right? Okay. So if we look in this verse here in John 14:28, you have heard me say to you, I'm going away and coming back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice because I said I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I.
A basic fundamental teaching of Christianity is that Jesus was equally man and equally God.
I hear that all the time. Makes no sense to me, but go ahead.
It does to me.
Okay.
And so the passages where he would appear to be inferior to his Father, in his humanity he was.
Gotcha.
But his divinity
Okay.
he was not.
So where are the passages from his divinity in here?
Many of them.
I'm sorry?
I give one example.
Go ahead.
And Romans, and probably 10:13.
Let's look it up. You wanna? Romans 10:13. For whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Okay.
You know, that is a quote from the Old Testament.
Romans?
No,
Okay.
Paul.
Yeah, this is Paul, New Testament.
That's a quote we just read. It's a quote from the Old Testament.
Okay.
And in the Hebrew text, it's Elohim.
Okay. Not Jesus.
No, it isn't. But Paul is attributing those verses, those same words, he's attributing them to Jesus.
But the Old Testament did not.
It did not.
And
no.
Paul never physically met Jesus. So this is just Paul's idea.
No.
This is not from the Old Testament saying that this is Jesus speaking, right?
Paul's inspired letter to the church.
Right, but let me give you an example, right? For example, today, if I quote something from the Old Testament, and I say this is the statement of that brother standing there, well, that's just my opinion, right? This is Paul's opinion, but not any, this is not Jesus speaking in the Old Testament, because it didn't say Jesus, this is the God, the Father, the one creator, right? So can you show me,
Paul's opinion. He met,
Paul never physically met Jesus, right?
Yes,
Saul,
yes.
physically?
yes.
But he
On the
was,
road to Damascus.
but Jesus had already, according to the Christian idea, died, resurrected, and gone to the Father by that time.
Yes, but
He was Saul first, right? You're a pastor, you know this, right?
But he wasn't chained to heaven.
No, I'm sorry. So physically, according to Christian idea, he had resurrected, and he said, "I'm going to the Father."
Yes, and he did.
So that means Paul, during the Christian idea of the lifetime of Jesus, never met Jesus. If it was he had a vision or something, that's his words. But again, he could be wrong. That's just a person
During
giving
his
his
lifetime,
opinion.
he did not.
Thank you. During his lifetime, he did not. Thank you. All right.
Jesus
I mean,
did
today, this brother could say, I saw Jesus knocking down at 7-Eleven, and he told me this, but that's just him making a claim, right? But when we look at Jesus' words that are attributed to him, I don't see anything except his worldly life. So when he says that he was made lower than angels, or when he worshipped God by putting his head on the ground, if he's fully God, how is fully God worshiping fully God?
I explained that. He is both fully God and fully man.
Right. But I mean, if he's fully God,
In his humanity, he worships God.
but he's God too, though, right?
Yes.
So God is worshiping God.
No. His humanity is. Not his divinity.
That's kind of confusing, don't you think?
Well, not to me it isn't.
It isn't,
To
really?
Muslims it is.
right.
They haven't studied the Bible well enough to understand the Bible.
I think I've studied it a little bit.
Well, not a little bit. I mean, I've never met a Muslim that have even a basic knowledge of the Bible. They think that they do.
Right.
Things like the Trinity or the divinity or humanity.
But do you think maybe it's because it really doesn't make sense?
It makes sense, but their mind is shut out to it.
Okay, so let's talk about it making sense, right? You believe that we inherit sin.
No.
You don't believe we inherit sin?
No.
We're not born sinful.
No.
Okay. Because most Christians do, so I'm confused
that,
because the Christian faith, if there's two Christians, I get three versions of Christianity, so I'm confused. So you tell me, so we do not inherit sin?
That is an old Roman Catholic tradition. It's not taught in the Bible.
I mean, I have a lot of Protestant Christians that tell me you're born
yeah,
sinful.
well, they've got it from the
They're wrong.
Catholics.
David Wood and all them, they're off
Show
the
it to me in
manhaj.
Bible.
I'm with you. I don't believe we're born sinful. Me and you agree on that.
Yeah, that's
I think
all.
Sam and all those crook and you're saying they're off the manhaj. You're making takfir on them. I got you. Okay. So now let's go to the idea that God sent. Is it his son or is it himself? Which one is it?
He sent his son.
His son.
The Greek word is the Greek word for son.
Okay.
Ordinary son.
Not himself.
No.
Okay. So God sent his son, who was a perfect human being when he was on earth, right?
Perfectly divine at the same time.
All right. And he sent him to be killed for what?
He sent the humanity to be killed, but not the divinity. The divinity
Okay. So Jesus is a body and a soul
body
and a divine nature.
and human nature.
So there's four things: human nature, divine nature, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And then there is the Father, and then there's the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
So we got 6 elements here.
Yeah.
Okay. And these 6 elements, how many of them are God?
One.
One God, the one above. And the rest of these 5 are all.
They're combinations or less than combinations. Jesus is both man and God.
Okay, so we talked about 6 elements here. One is God. You told me that's the God above. I got that. I agree that there is one God above. We'll go there. Now we got 5 left. The divine nature, the human body, the soul, and the Son, right?
The divine nature and the human nature are not God at all.
Or what?
The divine nature and human nature are not God at all.
So they're not God.
No.
The divine nature of Jesus is not God.
No.
All right. Wow, man. We're making good progress here. All right. So what's left here is the human body
The soma,
and his soul
the psyche.
and his what?
The soma and psyche are the two Greek words we're talking about.
Okay. So his body and soul are also not God.
That's right.
So what about what's left here? The Son aspect of it?
The Son of God aspect.
Right. So that's not God because you said there's only one God. All 5 of these are not God, right? And the Holy Ghost is not God because you said
Holy
only
Spirit
one.
is God.
Wait, no.
Holy
So
Spirit
now
is God.
originally you said there was only the one was God, the rest were not. And now the Holy Spirit is God?
Well, you use the terms there.
I'm trying to understand. I really am. Like, this is your explanation that I was going through, right? So let's try this again. There is the human body,
The soma,
human soul,
psyche.
divine nature, right? Human nature.
The nature is. What is
How long were you a pastor for? Preacher?
You're not going to lost the train of thought.
I'm sorry?
You interrupted me and I lost
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
train
Go
of
ahead.
thought.
I'll listen to you.
We're talking about nature.
How long were you a
the
pastor? I
nature-
just want to know
6
first.
years.
How long?
6 years.
6 years. Nice. Okay.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And since I got most of my Bible education since I sorry for that.
So you're a Bible scholar then?
Well, I don't want to use that word.
Sounds like it. Bible expert, Bible what?
Seeing you, huh?
Yeah.
See you again, all right? You too.
Sorry, little boy.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah. Okay, so let's take it. I want to understand, because different Christians give me different answers. So let's just take it very simply. There is the divine nature.
Do you don't understand the word nature?
Okay, I want to understand. I'm asking you.
The nature of a man is his outward character, and it's
Okay.
also his inward character. The inward character of man, in the New Testament, uses the word heart.
What?
Heart, H-E-A-R-T, the heart of man. And we use that word heart in English also for the same thing.
I got you. So Jesus' heart, or inner nature, there's the human of it, and there's the divine, according to you, right? So Jesus has a human nature and a divine nature.
Right.
Okay. Then he has a human body
Yeah.
and a human soul.
No.
No human soul?
I don't think
And you, David, and Crook, and them need to have a sit down, man. So does Jesus have a human soul or not? As a pastor, a Bible expert for 6 years, you taught. You didn't come into this question?
no.
Wow, that's good. I brought you something new. At least you gotta appreciate that, right? All right. So does Jesus have a human soul or not? Let's go to that.
I don't know.
You don't know. All right.
I would think that he has both a divine soul and a human soul.
Okay, so you would say that he has then a human nature, human soul, divine soul, human body, right? No divine body, I'm assuming. And then there's the Holy Ghost, and then there is the God above. And is there a Son also, or are we growing here? How many do we have now? Are we?
I would suggest when you get on the internet.
Oh, I've read on this. I went through Bible studies. I went to Horizon Church Group. I went through the whole Bible with the pastor. So don't think that I'm just trying to understand your concept, because he told me something very different. The pastor I used to study with, Christian pastor, he told me that we were born sinful, and he was Christian. He was not Catholic, and he said that the only way to get out of the original sin is to believe in Jesus. So Jesus died for your human.
That teaching comes from Romans 5:12.
I'm sorry.
That teaching comes from Paul's letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verse 12.
Okay, but you don't believe in that.
Well, read it for yourself.
Okay, let's read it. Romans
5:12.
5:12. Therefore, just as though one man's sin entered the world, the death through sin, and thus death spread to all men because all sinned. Okay? So what does that mean to you?
I take it very literally.
That basically men are sinful because they sin and not because they're born with sin?
What Paul is saying there is that he sinned, that we sin, well, not so much we, the people tried to, the Church of Rome, that would apply to us too, that we sinned in Adam.
We sin in what?
We sinned in Adam.
We sin in Adam?
Or as Christian theologians say, we sinned in the loins of Adam.
We sinned inside the loins of Adam?
In the loins of Adam.
That doesn't make sense. What does that mean?
I don't like that expression either. That's the expression they commonly use.
It doesn't make sense. So wait, I want to understand that. So we as humanity that aren't even sperm at the time, but you're saying in the loins of Adam, we did a sin.
Yeah, we haven't been born yet.
How did we sin if we weren't born yet?
When Adam sinned, we weren't born yet.
So we sinned before we were born?
When Adam sinned, we weren't born yet. However, from Jewish thought, we were in Adam. And when Adam sinned,
In the loins.
we sinned, yes.
But we didn't do anything.
But
That's like saying that if the guy killed somebody, his son was in his loins, so his son is sinful. But
Yes.
you wouldn't believe that, right?
not sinful, but sin. Guilty of sin.
So,
Guilty
so,
of the
so if
same
your
sin
dad
as
did
God.
something before you were even born, did you sin?
I sinned the same sin that he sinned.
How can that be? You weren't even born yet.
You know? I know that.
Right.
And that is what Paul is saying in that verse.
But you know that doesn't make sense, right? Come on. Like, let's just be honest. Like, just human being to human being, right? Like, if you thought that this guy standing here does a sin, and then when years later, like 30 years later, he has a son, and you tell that son, hey, you sinned because you were in the loins of your dad when he did a sin, you know that doesn't make sense, right?
It's,
Come on, let's just be honest.
Okay.
Let's just say it. You're, so far you've been very honest. Like, just tell me, you know what? It doesn't make sense.
No, I don't. But I know why Paul
Okay,
wrote
I
that.
agree. So me and you agree that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
Paul wrote it. I'm not disagreeing with you
It
there.
doesn't make sense. Well,
You just
say
did.
is we did not sin in the ones of Adam.
All right, we're making great progress. So you're saying what Paul wrote was wrong. We did not sin in the loins of Adam.
Well, I can't say it was wrong.
Well, you just did.
No, it's part of a complex argument.
So did we sin
No, wait a minute.
in the loins of Adam, yes or
Paul
no?
is using a complex argument,
Gotcha.
taking Jewish ideas in order to persuade Jewish people that he's writing to. He was
Okay,
not-
but is that the truth or not?
In 21st century Western culture, that's not the truth.
Okay,
But Paul's
so
day,
Paul,
that was very acceptable.
what Paul said today was not the truth. In 21st century Western culture, what he said is false.
Not false.
If it's not the truth, what is it?
The message that he's bringing is all true, but he borrows a Jewish thought, a
Okay.
Jewish concept
Okay.
that is not in and of itself true. But what
Okay.
Paul's saying is true. He's not being dishonest. He's borrowing culture,
So
Jewish
what
culture. But what
Paul-
the point he's making a point, a very important point. He's saying that we have all sinned. But, like Paul says to the church of Philippi, he says, according to the law, I was blameless. Paul writes to the Philippian church, he had not sinned.
We did not sin.
No, that he had not.
Paul had not sinned.
He obeyed the law perfectly.
But he was a part of the loins of Adam as well, right?
That's where he gets going.
I want to understand that part, right?
Let me finish.
I'm going to let you finish.
So, Paul lived a virtually sinless life. Virtually sinless. Not absolutely.
Paul was sinless?
I said virtually a sinless life.
Didn't he used to like persecute Christians as Saul?
That was a sin.
That was not a sin to persecute Christians and kill them?
It wasn't contrary to the law.
So if somebody does something within the law, then it's not sinful? So I mean, like today, if in a certain state they make meth illegal, if I smoke meth, it's not a sin then?
There's nothing in the law that says that what Paul did is wrong.
But you think he did something wrong by persecuting, killing Christians before when he was Saul,
They
right?
thought it was wrong, and I do too. But it
So he
wasn't
did
according-
sin.
But it wasn't not according to the law.
Okay.
According to Jewish law,
So
he did not sin.
let's go back to the loins, because I didn't understand that, right? You said we are not born with sin, right? But then you said we did sin because we were in the loins of Adam.
I said that Paul wrote that.
Okay, but then
And
you
I'm not
said
agreeing
that's
with it.
false.
No, it's not false.
Today, you said in 21st century Western society, that's not a truth, right?
Yes. But
So
in
it's a
first century,
false.
but in first century thought it was not an untruth.
It was the truth?
It was not an untruth.
It was not an untruth. What's an untruth?
An untruth is a lie.
I'm sorry?
An untruth is a lie.
So untruth is
An untruth is a lie.
not true. It's a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. So what he said, you said is an untruth, and then you said an untruth is a lie. So what Paul said was a lie.
Not by first century standards, no. We're talking about standards of different cultures.
Was it the truth? You said it was an untruth.
It was You didn't let me finish the thought.
Oh, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, Paul said, wrote to the Philippian Christians that according to the law, he is blameless. But Paul knew some of the people in Rome that he's writing to, they've also had that same experience. They were not aware of having broken the law. So Paul said, we've all sinned, come short of the glory of God. I haven't. So Paul comes back to them and says, you sinned in the loins of Adam.
Okay.
So he's saying that to back up his basic teaching that we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God.
But then you said we did not sin in the loins of Adam, right?
Adam never even existed.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Adam never existed?
No, he didn't.
There was no such person named Adam?
No, there was not. Paul knew that.
Who's the first man?
Paul doesn't answer that question.
So the whole Adam, Eve, Genesis, garden, that never happened?
The first 11 chapters of Genesis are written in the same genre of literature as epic tales, sagas, myths, and legends.
Ah, okay. So the Bible is sagas, myths, and legends.
Genesis 1 through 11. You can read it for yourself. It's written in a very different genre of literature than the rest of Genesis. And that genre of literature is not used anywhere else in the Bible. In other words,
okay, so Genesis, this is in the Bible, right? Okay, Genesis, what chapter are we talking about?
1 through 11.
Okay, 1 through the beginning of the Bible, right? The beginning, right?
Well, no,
So,
we need to be more precise. 1 through 11.
1 through 11.
No, chapters.
Yeah, chapter 1 through chapter 11.
Yeah.
All the way to here, Genesis chapter 11. This is all myths, false
That's it. It's written in the same genre of literature. It's myths, sagas.
fabrication. This is not true. It's a myth.
It's not accurate. It's not historically accurate. It's not intended to
Did
be
Adam
historically
and Eve and the whole story with the snake in the garden happen or not?
It's not, no, it did not happen.
It did not happen.
That's right.
Okay, so this is a myth.
Not a myth. It's probably a saga.
If it didn't happen, then that's a myth, right? It's a saga.
There are
It's
myths,
an untruth.
there are myths, the legends, and the sagas and epic tales. 4 different kinds of literature.
Is it an untruth?
A saga is not an untruth.
It's not an
a
untruth.
lie.
It's not a lie.
It's a
So
story.
it did happen.
No, it's not historically accurate.
Was there an Adam or not? There was no Adam. Was there an Eve?
No,
Was there a garden?
no,
Was there any eating of a tree?
no.
Those are all lies.
The epic tales.
But they're false. They're not true. They didn't
The
happen.
epic tales.
Right, so like, let's say like Odin and Valhalla and all that kind of stuff, right? Which is just made up by somebody's imagination.
Those are very ancient epic tales.
Did Odin exist?
Sagas, what?
Huh?
What?
Odin and the Viking ideas of Valhalla, did that exist?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, so you're saying this didn't happen though, right?
Historically, no.
Historically, no. So somebody made this up.
No.
So where did this come from?
Ancient sagas and epic tales.
Epic tales are made up by people, right? Imagination.
No,
If it
not
didn't
necessarily.
happen, where did this story come from? Somebody had to have made it up, right? And if you're saying that somebody made this up and it didn't
Somebody,
happen,
it grew. It's part of a culture.
okay, so
Not
it's a
an
cultural,
individual.
it's a cultural folk tale, okay,
Fairly close.
okay, but that would mean that it did not happen
Historically, no.
historically. So this folk tale is false because it didn't happen this way.
Well, that's not a good word for it. But
Well, why not? I mean, that's what it is. Like if I say, hey, there was a big snake that used to roam San Diego and eat up cows or whatever, and me and a bunch of guys are making this up as a folk tale, and it didn't happen, then that's false. It's not a true thing.
because you're making it up.
Yeah, but somebody had to have made this up,
would I
right?
be correct to say sagas and epic tales are false?
Yes.
That's not the
No, you
proper
can,
word
yeah.
for it. They're-
Why not? I mean,
they're
if
not
you-
an accurate portrayal
If
of
you
what's
say that there was nobody named Adam, nobody named Eve, there was no garden, somebody came up with that idea and it didn't actually happen, that means this story is an untruth because it didn't happen,
Well,
right?
accurate to say it evolved in an ancient culture.
So was there a first man?
Genetically, well, that's
So if there was no Adam, how did we sin in his loins? We did it, right? That was a false statement as well.
What I'm saying is we're dealing with complicated issues that Muslims simply do not understand.
I think it's pretty simple. You simplified it for me, which is Paul told the untruth.
No, it's not untrue.
You said that earlier. That what he said was an untruth.
About what?
About us sinning in the loins of Adam.
Yes. That's not true.
That's not true.
Right.
Okay, we agree. So Paul told untruth, which you said is a lie. You just said that earlier.
It's not truth within our culture, but within his culture, it's acceptable.
But it was still an untruth.
Yes.
So it was still a lie.
Well,
You just said an untruth is a lie.
yes, it is.
So Paul, when he said it, it was still a lie.
But if you look up the word lie in Webster's Collegiate Dictionary,
Okay.
an abbreviation of Webster's Third New National Dictionary, he says a lot of definitions for lie. The English word lie is in a lot of different ways.
So I'm just going to look, okay. Untruth. Let's look up untruth first, right? The first definition, a lie
That
or a
was,
false statement.
Okay.
So what Paul said was an untruth.
Within our culture, yes.
Okay. And that means it was a lie because that's what you...
Within our culture.
Okay. At the time when he said it, was it a truth?
Not in our modern understanding of the word truth, no.
Okay, so when he said it, even at that time, it was an untruth.
I wouldn't go that far, really. Close to it, though. It wasn't an accurate.
Okay, so let me do something easier, okay?
It wasn't an accurate thing in history. Historically, it's not accurate. Does that help?
What is the opposite of truth?
Why?
Lie. So if something is not a truth, it's an untruth, it's a lie.
Those are 20th century word usages.
Right, but I'm saying at the time,
world.
when he said it, you said Adam didn't even exist. So even at that time, it was not a factual statement. It was not the truth. Hence, Paul lied. I get it.
Lie. We need to be careful of throwing words around.
Those are your words. Right? You said Paul even at... No, I'm asking you. At the time that... We've already agreed that today what Paul said is definitely a lie by our standards. But
yeah, by our standards.
By our standards. But let's go back to his time. When he said it, there was no Adam, there were no loins, according to you. We didn't sin in the loins of Adam.
Right.
So even then, it was not the truth. Right?
Not in the term of the 20th century.
I'm talking about that time. At that time, was it true? Was there Adam at that time?
It was not historically accurate.
Okay? So once again, since there, according to you, there was no Adam and no loins and no sin, no Eve, no garden. So even when Paul said it, it was not the truth. It was an untruth that Paul said.
The statement was not historically accurate.
All right, cool. So my question to you is, we have a Quran. Do you have one already?
I don't have this one.
Take it. Read it. This is 100% truth. Read it and come back, and if anything is uncomfortable to you, bring it to me and we can discuss it. All right?
Usually you read this one.
They're all the same. It's just different colors and prints.
Oh, no, I have this one.
Okay,
That's what
take
I usually read. This is different.
Take it. They're all the Quran are all the same. All begin with Al-Fatiha, all end with Surah An-Nas. Sure, but the verses, chapters, all the same. Right? There are different recitations, there are different people who translate, but read it, what is 100% truth, and come back, and if any verse kind of gets you complicated, come back and we'll talk about it. How's that? I'll get you a bag. You have a bag already? Or?
إذا أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والتعليق، ولكي يصلك كل جديد اشترك الآن.